The road ahead, it twists and turns, and the sun beats down and it burns. But I keep on pushing through. And every step quicker than the last, my feet tread down this.
Okay, it's June the 20th, and gorgeous day, not a cloud one in the sky, and I've got motivational issues. I woke up this morning, it was cold, it was so cold. We had a cold front blow through last night, and so last night didn't get any rain, thankfully, because I didn't put the tent fly on because that thing makes me a little claustrophobic. But I was laying there watching the lightning flash north and south, and I checked the radar on my tablet, and sure enough, there's some big storms north and south. The one north had about 4 tornadoes in it and stuff, but it passed us by. We had probably 45 plus mile an hour winds and everything. And then when I woke up, it was cold. That was the front passing through. I looked at the weather map this morning, and eastern Nebraska and western Iowa were getting plastered by the thing. And so I should have a good day of hiking today. I don't have far to go, so I'm kind of goofing off a little bit, walking around in the park. It's kind of cool. This is a gorgeous little park. I'm going to pan around here. And I was looking at this lake earlier today, and I was standing down there looking, and there's probably I don't want to sound like Texas fish boy, because I have no idea how big this fish was, but if I was guessing, I'd say it was well bigger than 24 inches. But it was just, swimming around down there in the water, and you can see the water's relatively clear, sand bottom, cold. You don't see me getting in it, but it's kind of neat. It's a beautiful park. Here comes a rainbow trout swimming by. I probably can't catch that on the GoPro, but anyway, I suspect all of these fish are stocked. This some kind of man-made lake that I think fills up every time the North Platte overflows, but pretty cool place. Hi, I'm standing here with Deputy Flores, and the reason I'm standing here is because somebody was driving a little crazy and caused a fatal accident. And I have seen so much crazy driving since I've been out on the road with this trip, and I just wanted to do a little, throw this in here. If you guys are driving along there, this is a wide open road, and they still they pulled out and head on somebody?
It sounds like that's what happened. I'm not quite sure on all the details, but it sounds like there was a bit of a congestion there. Someone wasn't paying attention, and there was a collision there, the roadways.
Okay, see, and I have been walking along and had people pull over on the shoulder so somebody could go around them and just about take me out a couple of times. Be aware, be careful, and what's your advice to drivers?
Just be aware, be safe, be careful, always look for everybody else, and also be attentive of what everybody else is doing as well.
Okay, there's your public service announcement. Thank you, Deputy Flores, for the help there. Okay, this is Will. Will's the first person I've met who's doing one of the trails since I've been doing a trail. He's doing the Pony Express Trail. And this is Will, and this is Badger, and that down there is Chicken Fry. And right now we're all held up at this fatal accident, which is kind of a tragedy here. Tell me what it is you're doing here.
Waiting for the highway to open,
well,
so I can go to Chimney Rock and keep heading west.
Okay.
That's the name of the game.
And tell us why you're doing this trip.
I'm riding the Pony Express Trail because I'm going to write a book about the West. And I want to have a cross-section perspective of the American West, and it seemed like Pony Express Trail was good. as good an opportunity to do it as any, and I've been a horse guy all my life, so here we are with 2 horses, probably a little more than a third of the way done.
He's going all the way to California here, which is sight further than I'm going.
Yeah.
And you know, somebody just went through. They may have about to let us through. This road's been closed for 6 hours because of this wreck. And I think they got us standing out here. What'd you say your name was? Will. I was talking to Will earlier, and as much trouble as I've had of finding a place to, pitch my tent, he said he's had some trouble finding a place he can park 2 horses and stuff like that. And so, the logistics of doing these trips are just unique. I would suggest you do a lot of thinking before you try a trip like this. You got any advice for somebody who might want to do a cross-country trip?
Just start planning early and be really flexible. Be ready to roll with the punches every day, because you never know what's going to happen till the end of the day.
I'll back that up. Flexibility is the key to everything here. And
being relaxed, cool with whatever happens, knowing that you can handle it. Keeping a dry sleeping bag, extra pair of dry socks, a little bit of water. Pretty well handle it.
Well, I appreciate you talking with me, Will.
Yeah.
And good luck on your journey.
Good luck on your journey.
And anyway, I'll get back with all y'all. Okay, I don't know how well this is showing up on the GoPro, but here's one of the most iconic spots on any of the Pioneer trails. This is Chimney Rock, and this is visible for literally miles. You could see this all the way back in Bridgeport, but it's a combined sandstone and volcanic ash and clay and everything built up, and erosion has left us with this. You can't get up close to it now because for years people have defaced it and messed it up and stuff, so they've kind of closed it to the public. I'm walking right now up to the interpretive center, and I'm going to go through the interpretive center. Today's been kind of an odd day, a little bit sad. Right outside of Bridgeport, a state trooper had a head-on collision with a oil field truck, and anyway, they had the highway shut down from 7:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and so that kind of made it hard to make much distance. I was all prepared to just go back to the park and just camp another night at the park, and then I was only planning on going 14 miles anyway, and the news guy that was there for this offered to give me a lift up to since we had waited for so long to get by this, offered to give me a ride up to the campground that's 14 miles away. So I didn't do a lot of hiking. I hiked until I got to the wreck and then stood around and waited. Met a neat guy that's doing the Pony Express Trail. He's supposed to be staying at the same campsite I'm staying at tonight when his 2 horses catch up. The news guy couldn't give him a ride because of the 2 horses. I can't imagine doing this kind of, over the road trekking with horses, because it's been hard a lot of times just trying to find a campground for me, and there's been some times I've just had to pitch my tent in an abandoned driveway or something and camp there. I can't imagine trying to find horse accommodations every night. That's got to be tough. And I asked him, I said, what do you do about food and stuff? And he's like, well, I try to find a campground close to a grocery store, and then I can stake out the horses at the campground and then run into town to buy food. I interviewed him and talked to him a little bit. I'll put that interview in. I can at least just walk into a grocery store with my backpack on, and they look at you a little funny, but they don't say anything. And once they realize that you're, you know, some 60-year-old teacher out walking the Pioneer Trail or traveling the Pioneer Trail, then they you know, ask you a bunch of questions and everything, but they don't treat you like hobo or nothing. I don't know what you would do with horses. That'd just be strange. I don't know if you can see this sky good with the GoPro, but holy cow, that's a dramatic sky. It's also raining back that direction. We got the winds picking up. Skies are darkening back off to the west. Typical day in Nebraska, but I went up to the little museum there, which way up the road, and it was kind of an odd experience. There's not a lot specifically about the Mormon Trail. What, you know, I've come to realize is the Mormons passing through Iowa was kind of unique. In other words, you know, here's this group of people that set out across Iowa, and they left behind a lot of, you know, church members, and some of them became cut off from the church at that point. But I talked to tons of people in Iowa who would say, oh yeah, my great-great-grandparents or great-grandparents or something were Mormons and stuff. You don't run into that ever in Nebraska. And it come to realize, Mormons passing through Nebraska, this is just a whole bunch more people going up the Platte River Valley. That there are already tons of people going up the Platte River Valley, going to Oregon, going to California, going to wherever. And the Mormons were just more of those. And so it wasn't a real big unique thing to have a bunch of people passing through the Platte Valley. And I don't guess I'd realized that until now. None of the museums make a big deal about the fact that the Mormons came through here. They mention us as we're one of the trails, but they're more apt to talk about the Oregon Trail because there's so many more people traveled the Oregon Trail, a lot of whom were coming from Missouri and did not like Mormons, you know. So interesting. Okay, as you can see, it looks dark and dank back over Chimney Rock, but I've been told that as long as it's light back that way, we're okay. It's dark and dank north of us, light back to the west, and dark and dank to the south. It looks really grim back to the south. So hopefully this is going to be a good night.